I'm going down to Menu. I've got Preferences selected in the middle column, and I'm going way down to the bottom to Windows, Set Your Windows Properties, and clicking that. If you get the message, the current window manager is unsupported, you may still have CompBiz turned on from the last video. I turned off CompBiz at the end of the last video, and you will need to have CompBiz turned off if you want to bring up this window. And that's because these options are not compatible with CompBiz. I'm under the General tab, and we see Enable Software Compositing Window Manager. This is the same one that we saw in the desktop settings. Clicking this on and off turns on and off the compositing. And we know when it's on, besides having this check mark, it's because of the outline, the little shadow around the window. When I turn it off, we don't have a shadow. The reason that it's here, as well as the desktop settings, is because if we turn it off, we can no longer disable the thumbnail in Alt-Tab. I've got the Enable Software Compositing Window Manager unchecked. I'm going to open, under Accessories, the calculator, and under Office, Writer. I'm going to make this window smaller. And this gives us 3 different windows out there. Now I'm going to hold down the Alt key and press Tab. We see icons for all 3 windows in the center of the page. And if I press Tab, I can scroll through them. We've got Windows Preferences, LibreOffice Writer, Untitled One, and our calculator. When I release Alt, it sets the active window to the icon that I was on, in this case, the calculator. I'm going back to the Window Preferences, and I'm going to enable Software Compositing Window Manager, and do the same thing. Hold down Alt and press Tab. Now we see the thumbnails for the calculator, the Writer document, and the Windows Preferences. And to show that that's actually a thumbnail, let's put some numbers in our calculator. 9876. Holding down Alt-Tab. There's the 9876. When I disable the thumbnails in Alt-Tab, we just see the icons. I will uncheck Disable Thumbnails in the Alt-Tab, but leave the Enable Software Compositing Window Manager checked. Going into Behavior, we see Select Windows when the mouse is over them. I will check this, and we'll be able to tell when they're selected because we will see the shadow around the window. So I'm moving over the Writer document, we see the shadow. Going over to the calculator, we see that. And I'm going to bring the calculator so it is over the Windows Preferences just a little bit. Going back to Windows Preferences, they have raised the windows after an interval of, I'll check that. We've got 0.5 seconds, so half a second. When I move my arrow over Writer, we see that go right to the top, the calculator, go to the top, and back to Windows Preferences. And we've got a half a second because if I'm working down here, let's move the window down. And if I'm looking for something down below on the window, maybe there's a couple of check boxes or the like, and I accidentally go outside that window, but it's on another one, it's all covered up. So I like the half second there before switching windows. The title bar action. We've got maximize, maximize horizontally, maximize vertically, minimize, and none. Basically what that means, let's set it to maximize. If you click on the title bar, and here we don't see it maximize. We won't see it maximize in the calculator either, because these windows are already set at their max screen. If I try it in the Writer document, double-clicking that makes it full screen. The other one I want to show is roll up, because the maximize vertically and minimize, those are pretty obvious what those do. But roll up If I double click on the title bar, we see the window roll up. There's our writer document and even our calculator. So we can keep them all open and rolled up onto the screen. Then when we want that window back open, double click, it opens back up, and we have all our windows once again. The movement key. Now this one's set to Alt. It might be set to Super as a default. We saw in the last topic that hitting the Super key or the Windows key opens up our menu. So we want this set to Alt. And the idea behind this movement key is when I'm in the title bar, right now if I press down and move my window, I can move it. But if I'm not in the title bar, nothing happens. If I hold down Alt in this case and press my left mouse click over this window, I can move it. And that even happens if I'm over a drop down or a button. Because I'm holding down Alt, I can now move the window. Releasing Alt goes back to the normal window actions. Going to the Placement tab, centering a new window. That's when we open it. Let's close the calculator, reopen that. We see it's moved to the left. When I center the new window and reopen, it opens it right in the center of the page. And you may have mixed results with this depending on the application you're opening, but in general, that's what this is designed to do. I'm going to uncheck that. Window snapping, enable side-by-side tiling. With this off, I'm going to grab the writer window and press it up at the top, nothing happens. Over at the right, nothing happens. On the left, nothing happens. If I click on enable side-by-side tiling, now when I move my writer window to the top of the screen, it becomes full page. Just dragging it down a little brings it back to the size that it was. Going to the right side, it makes it half the screen. And if I take my Windows preferences and move this to the other half, it takes up the other half of the screen. So that's what the side-by-side tiling is. This takes half the screen. And notice that our Windows preferences does open to half the screen. And if we take it to the top now, it will become full screen. So I don't know why the double clicking did not work to make that full screen, but it does work when we have the enable side-by-side tiling. If you enjoy these videos, please tell a friend.